Hey, my name is Jordan Phelan, and welcome to this week's Pause Devotional. If you're following along in our Pause reading plan, we've been in a portion of Luke's Gospel where Jesus is going on something of like a teaching healing spree. We see in chapters 15 through 20, Jesus is making his way closer and closer to Jerusalem. Now, expectations, they're building, but expectations are also kind of mixed when it comes to Jesus. Some people love him, and some people would rather he wasn't around. The outsiders and the outcasts, they love Jesus, and they're hoping that he becomes king. But the religious insiders, or we would say the Pharisees, they despise him and they're plotting to arrest him. Now, amid all of those mixed reviews, Jesus is making quite a scene. He's dropping parables, he's confronting injustice, he's healing the sick and the blind, he's calling out corruption, and he's foreshadowing his death and his resurrection. Things are starting to get out of hand. Now, in the middle of this teaching spree, we see him tell a simple story. He tells a parable about a Pharisee and a tax collector, or we would say an insider and an outsider. Now, in the very next verse after this parable, we see that everyone is bringing their babies to Jesus. So you have to imagine that as Jesus told this parable, he probably had a baby in his arms and kids around at his feet. Now, if you're looking to put some Pharisees on blast and there's kids around, you probably would tell a cute story like this one. And it's a cute story that cuts straight to the heart. Luke 18, starting in verse 9. It says, "To some who were confident of their own righteousness and looked down on everyone else, Jesus told this parable." He says, "Two men went up to the temple to pray. One was a Pharisee and the other was a tax collector. The Pharisee stood by himself and prayed, 'God, I thank you that I'm not like these other people, robbers and evildoers and adulterers, or even like this tax collector over here. I fast twice a week and I give a tenth of all that I get.' But the tax collector, he stood at a distance. He would not even look up to heaven, but instead he beat his chest and said, 'God, have mercy on me, I'm a sinner.' I tell you," Jesus says, "that this man, rather than the other one, went home justified before God. For all who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted." Now the Pharisee, you see, the Pharisee was self-righteous in the truest sense of the word. His source of righteousness and goodness was his own status and achievement, and it was all rooted in comparison to others. "At least I'm not like that other guy," he says. But the tax collector, you see, he approached God in humility, fully aware of his need for God's mercy. It's the tax collector that goes home forgiven, accepted, and justified that day. Apparently, friends, God is far more concerned with our posture than with our performance. Isn't it good news that you don't have to earn God's love, attention, or approval? Isn't it good news that we follow a Jesus who takes our brokenness, our sin, and our dysfunction, and he calls us righteous, accepted, and beloved? Isn't it good news? May you be like a tax collector, fully aware of your need for God's grace, postured in humility. May you not be caught up in comparison, but instead be caught up in God's love for you. A love that's not based on your performance, but simply received when we're in a posture of humility. God, have mercy on me, Jordan, a sinner. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to find this and all of our other Pause devotionals, you can go to our website, and don't forget to follow all of our social media platforms. Have a good week.